Is this thing on?
Are you ready, Matt?
You're listening to Box Office Bingers
with Matt Diaz and Ernesto Santos.
Good evening, folks. We have a wonderful evening's entertainment lined up for you.
We know each other. He's a friend from work.
Box Office Bingers.
And the only way that I know how to do it is to find you a bloody good dump.
He's my friend. I don't have friends. I got family.
I can do this all day.
You know, if you put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Box Office Bingers. This week is a special episode because, Ernesto, we have a special guest with us.
Oh, we sure do. Christina Watkins, ma'am, thank you so much for coming back on. We're so excited to have you on. And we are reviewing Highest to Lowest, Spike Lee's new film starring Denzel Washington, Jeffrey Wright, Ilfinish Hedera, and A AP Rocky. Just like I mentioned, directed by Spike Lee, who, did Do the Right Thing, Malcolm X, He Got Game, Bamboozled, Inside Man, Black Klansman, and Da 5 Bloods, written by Alan Fox, who is making his screenwriting debut. And this is based on the 1959 King's Ransom novel. But it's also a remake of a 1964 film, High and Low, by Akira Kurosawa, which is a film who inspired Spike Lee for this film, which I had the pleasure of watching both of these films. So I'm really excited to talk about the films because there's a lot of comparisons to the original, and there's some differences that I think were necessary to keep up with the time. So, but first, Christina, we want to talk to you and kind of see how you're doing. Last time you were on, you were here for what was the movie review?
A Real Pain,
which was an absolute fantastic movie if you haven't seen it.
Yeah.
And we also got to interview you about Christina's Tiffany's Growing Garden, the book you wrote. We were so excited to talk about that. We had a fantastic interview. If you guys want to go back and listen to that episode, but how's that been going?
Oh, it's been great. Thank you guys for having me again. Always a pleasure to be here with Box Office Bingers. Love the work you do. So since Tiffany's Growing Garden came out in December, we were able to give 3 scholarships to 3 Central Florida high school seniors based off of all of your support. So thank you so much. That's the goal of this book. And it has just done so well. I've heard from people from multiple states, from New York to California, who just really love the book. They've got it in their libraries, their school counselors' offices. Counselors are appreciative of it. Family members are appreciative of it. I've done a couple of book readings, and I'm excited. I'm working on the next one.
Oh.
I'll let you in on a little secret. It'll be a holiday book.
Oh.
Ooh.
You don't have to tell me. I already know what holiday bit it is.
You already know what it is. That is all I will say about it, but I'm really, really, really excited for this next one because it's just it's a book about kindness. So really looking forward to it.
Something very necessary in our society today.
Yes.
Yeah,
But this is the first time I've publicly said that, so you guys have the breaking news.
Oh, you heard it here first, folks. Breaking news. Change this banner to red.
Yeah. We call it a Box Office Bingers breaking news.
Yeah.
breaking news edition. But no, I'm really looking forward to it, and hopefully my goal is to have it out sometime next year. So.
Well, that's very exciting. That literally my next question was like, what's? I know we briefly talked about if you were kind of working on a book, and now you already answered that question. That's
I'm
super
just giving
exciting.
myself a grace period. Like I wanted to get this one out for just to mark 5 years, and so now I'm giving myself a little bit more time to figure out a more like marketing push with this next one, especially because it's holidays, and y'all know I'm Christina Kringle.
Yeah.
So I'm just really looking forward to the next one.
I have to tell you, my sister, who's a school counselor in Jacksonville, she tells me she uses your books all the time, and that like she's recommended it to her peers. So it's so great to see that your message is just spreading even further than you probably originally anticipated. Like, could you even imagine the growth that it's seen since then?
No, I didn't. I just, took a leap, a scary leap to do it, not realizing what kind of impact it would have and how far it would stretch. But it's just, I think hopefully people see it as a testament to always just bet on yourself and do the thing.
Mm,
Do whatever it is. And it can be one person, it can be 1,000, it can be 1,000,000, but take that leap and do something great for yourself. And that's what this book has been for my family and me. And for the people who read it, young, old, everything in between. I've just heard such positive feedback from people like your sister. And I get humbled and overjoyed anytime someone sends me videos of people reading it. I'm like, ah, kids talking about my sister saying her name, saying, I want Tiffany's garden. It's really, really, really humbling. It's exciting.
And also, I think you should be able to just kind of enjoy it a little bit. Like you say, most people are like, "Oh, you did this. We got to rush to do the next thing because you want to kind of live off this momentum." But I think every now and then it's nice to just look. You work so hard to get this off the ground. Just just enjoy that for a little bit. Kind of push that out, and then when the time is right, then you work on your next project. Um,
Yeah.
so I'm happy to hear that everything is going great. A lot of positive feedback. And we were so excited to talk about this book when you had it on back in January, which feels like it was yesterday, to be honest
Oh
with
my
you.
I know.
gosh.
Like I feel
It
like we was like when we
was.
had you on, and I'm happy that we were able to bring you on sooner because the last time we had you on was the first time, which was Avatar: Way of Water, which was in 2022. So we
Yeah.
waited
Oh my
almost 2 years to bring you back on the show, and now it's only been a mere 9 months later, and hopefully, since you are Christina Kringle, uh, uh, that I know we even talked about this too to get you on for a holiday film. Uh,
Yes. Get me on for the holiday
y-
movies. Call
yes.
me.
So we're gonna try to get that in the books. But for now, we have another movie we're gonna be talking about. As Ernesto suggested earlier, Spike Lee's new joint, highest to low, starring Denzel Washington. It had a limited release in theaters. It came out August 15th. It maybe lasted for about 2 weeks, and then it came everywhere on streaming on Apple TV Plus. This was a joint effort, surprisingly, with Apple TV Plus and A24. So I think A24 distributed the film in theaters, and then obviously it's streaming on Apple TV Plus. So, Christina, we'll start with you. Your thoughts on the newest Spike Lee joint?
And okay, so I'll start with the great things, right? After seeing the whole thing, I ended up loving it.
Okay.
But it took me about an hour to really start loving it.
Mm,
Right when, without going too deep into it, but I'd say right as they were about to do the exchange, right? And Spike Lee's music really started to pick up. I'm like, oh yeah, this is a Spike Lee joint. The camera angles, the music, the instrumentals that you're hearing, it just really made me feel like it was an original Spike Lee classic. And that from that moment on, I was stuck.
mm.
But the beginning was a little slow for me. It was a little slow, and I was like, okay, where are we going with this? Where is this direction? But overall, I was pleased toward the end, and I think it did what it needed to do. And Denzel is fabulous in anything he does. The subtle appearances from like Wendell Pierce, loved it. Shout out to New Orleans. So I appreciated it for what it was after watching the whole thing.
Once I completed it, then
Yes.
and that's always the case with some of these movies is you kind of wait to the end because surprisingly enough, not a people if they're not interested, they just pause it. And you're like, you know what? I'm not into it. I'm not gonna finish this movie.
Mm,
And sometimes it's the ending that really kind of brings it all together. And for me, I know so you've seen both films,
yes.
right? Okay, so I'll go before you just so you can compare the two because I have not had the pleasure of uh watching both films, and I feel like that there's probably a lot that he took inspiration of for this movie,
Oh, yeah.
and that
Mhm.
apparently from the first movie it was very I guess the Japanese film, it was highly acclaimed. A lot of people liked it, and so I was even reading before I even watched the movie that this was going to be a hard feat for Spike Lee to kind of adapt
Mm.
this property. And then go ahead.
Well, only thing I was gonna say is in relation to high and low. It's It's like this movie was it's either 63 or 64. That movie still holds up. Like before
Okay.
I get into it, like that movie actually still holds up like a movie from so long ago. So yeah, it definitely
Wow.
once I saw that one, I was like, wow, it's gonna be hard to beat this.
So you saw High to Low before Highest to Lowest.
Yes. And I kind of
Okay.
and then I kind of wish I had done it the other way around. But I'll get into it when I talk about it.
Mm,
Okay. All right. So very similar to Christina, I did have a hard time with honestly most of this movie. It would like I mean, I would even say the first half. I even say when we got here. And I think I was battling between two different things. And I think one was the pacing of this film was just in conjuncture with the music. The music just really is pulled me out of the movie. They
really?
yeah, I mean, it's as if you just listening to the music by itself, I think it's beautiful. I just didn't think it matched the tone with the film most of the time. There
Mm,
was a scene when Denzel was like these long musical breaks with him going into the subway, and then there was a car chase, and I thought when he was in the subway, the music worked great. But then when it was
mm,
in the car chase, it's like this doesn't land at all. And then I feel like the music just never landed for me, and it always pulled me out of the movie. And I was like, I just wish maybe we can just be silent when they're having this conversation. I don't think we need music here. And then there was a lot of nuances that Spike Lee puts in his movies that I don't think 100% landed for me here. And I do agree with that toward when we did the initial drop, like I think once the exchange was happening, that's when the movie picked up. But I don't know if it ever picked it up so much that I was like, yeah, like, this was great. It was like I think like the first hour pushed me down, and it's like we
yeah.
still have another hour to go
Yes.
here.
Yes.
I was like, wow, we are not there yet. Um, and I think a lot of it is like I feel like we had like these long breaks in the film where we're trying to battle this moral dilemma
Mm,
where I never felt the emotional stakes of the dilemma that he was trying to have. Whereas somebody kidnapped, it was supposed to be his son, but they kidnapped the wrong person. And then now he's left with this moral dilemma on basically giving away his fortune to save a person that is not part of his family.
That
Um,
basically is.
but basically is
mhm.
exactly.
Right.
And then we had a convert, and this is the part that kind of gets me a little bit. It was like roughly around 20 to 25 minutes of him having a conversation with uh with I don't know, like his one of his business advisors, the police, another conversation with Jeffrey Wright, another conversation with his wife, and another conversation with the detective that all was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know what I'm gonna do. And then instantly cuts to, you know what? I'm gonna pay the money. I was like, wow, we really just rushed that one in there, didn't we,
Don't
Denzel? We
forget
just
the conversation with his son
Yeah.
too might have set the
that's right,
bar.
yes.
Yeah. That was the last
And
one,
it
yeah.
and it was all of that. And I'm thinking then he's crying in his desk, and I was like, okay, he's like really going for it. Like he's really thinking about it. And then next morning, he's like, well, I had a good night's sleep anyway. I'm gonna pay the ransom so we can move this story along. I was like, "But we spent a lot of time and you trying to figure this out, Denzel, and now you're just like, yeah, you know, whatever. I just needed a good night's sleep. I was just messing with you. I was always gonna pay the ransom." It, I was like, "Wow, we spent a lot of time on that, and we it's to me just undercut the emotional drama that was building toward it." And I felt like that movie did a lot of that. And the strongest moments is when it was dealing with the business, the music business angle. I thought
Mm.
some of the best acting in the movie was when he was talking to his business partner about what he wants to do
Yes.
with his I forgot the name of the record label that he was part of. But yeah, what he wanted to do with the record label, and then when he was having all those conversations with ASAP Rocky, young felon, I feel like that's when the movie started showing what it wanted to be and what it was truly about. But all the stuff in between, I don't know, it just didn't land for me. But Ernesto, how did it compare to the original film?
Well, first, the name of the record label was Stacking Hits Records.
Thank you.
That's right. That's right. Thank
That's
you,
right.
Zach.
Um, okay. So let me the original. Like I think beat for beat, there's a lot. The main story beats are the same. it's this Japanese businessman. They focus more. The original focus is more on like the corporate side of it, of like dealing the ethical dilemma of dealing with the money that's supposed to be traded for shares. Like that, in essence, was almost exactly the same. He was going to buy in the original. He buys more shares in order to be the highest stakeholder to basically be the main CEO. So that part is similar, and that in connection to the kidnapping is the same. The two, it's actually two in the original one. It's two little boys and they're playing outside the house, and then they switch costumes, and then that's how the kidnapper gets him. And then what's interesting is that like
Oh.
this one is like highest to lowest is like a post internet social media, and this one is like pre-internet, pre-cell phone, like old school detective work. So like the original one kind of deals with is really relies on the detective work. Like you spend the biggest chunk of the middle of the film following these detectives, like using like old school cameras and like knowing like which phone booth are by certain train stations. Like it was just really like, as far as like a procedural detective film, it's like incredibly fascinating just to watch something that like literally doesn't exist anymore. So from that aspect, I thought it was really great. And then they deal with the moral dilemma. That part happens the same. Where in the middle of the film, he goes back and forth of whether or not he should pay it. Um, and then that part is the same, where they kind of use that against him to kick in the original one. They kick him out of the company. The interesting twist on this one is that instead of the company pushing him out, they use that as a way to kind of keep him on a leash and like almost like keep him trapped in there. So I thought at like this movie, the highest to lowest, has a lot of faults, but I felt like this twist on the original, I thought is what kind of made it interesting. That kind of what you were talking about, Matt, where like that's one of the most interesting parts of this film is like the kind of the corporate back and forth. And I thought that part kind of honors Kurosawa's um, what the original, what he was trying to say, and also with the like the socio-economical differences between his kidnapper ASAP Rocky, where he follows him. Like he basically idolized him growing up. Where in the original, the kidnapper, he lived within his apartment was within eyesight of his high-rise building. So like he would always he had a telescope and he would always watch this guy from afar. So kind of like that
Mm.
same aspect of idolizing something that you wish you could have, and that you're just within grasp reach. So another way that I felt like he was able to kind of honor the original film. Um, but in this one, I felt like the first hour, very similar to you guys. I felt like the first hour was like it was almost like, I don't want to say whimsical, but it was like too happy. Like, you know what I mean? Like it
Yeah.
was, but
Yeah.
but I wonder if Spike Lee did that in a way to kind of like highlight being at your highest point, where it's like all this happy music, it's like super bright shots, like very happy, like, oh, I love you, brother, or what did he call him? Beloved. That's what he called him. Oh, I love you,
Yeah.
beloved. And it's just like that like extra love, and like the back and forth with the coach, and like just like the way that him and his wife address each other, and like kind of the love they express for each other, kind of like setting the roots, like this is him at his highest point. So because as soon as he gets the phone call, he's on the balcony, like literally the music changes, and then we get into this like almost like worrisome fast beat, like but I kind of wish we had heard the phone call in that point. Like,
Me too.
it felt like, especially since later on in the film we hear from ASAP Rocky, and excuse me, what was his name? What's his name in the
Young
movie?
felon.
ASAP. Oh
Young
yeah, young
Felon.
felon.
We hear from him, like talk to him on the phone. So what is I'm curious on what the because that must have been an intentional choice. Why did we not hear him first and then hear him later, especially at such a crucial point? Because it just felt so off-putting. Because we hear this happy music, she leaves, all of a sudden he gets a
Yes.
phone call. It goes dead silent, and then he goes, "Somebody's got our son. Like he just got
Yeah.
kidnapped." Like
It's
it just felt. I don't know. Like it
yes.
felt like a
So
very forced
random.
moment, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it was random. Like, I even wish we could have seen the kidnapping because,
Yes.
like,
Yes.
okay, how are you a coach? You're responsible for these kids,
Oh yeah.
and your excuse is, I got a court full of kids or gym full of kids. I can't watch them all. What?
You're watching minors.
Okay, Rick Fox. Like,
Yeah.
what?
But also to your point, he like they said, well, they were doing laps in the gym and looks like he might have hurt his ankle. So I told him to just sit it out for a couple of minutes. And then you turn around, and then even the kid standpoint is like, I feel a little hungry. I know we just got here,
Right.
but I think we can do some lunch right now. So let's just sneak out real quick. He's not gonna know. There's like 100 kids in the courtroom. He's like in the gym. He's not gonna never gonna see us. So yeah, that was extremely weird. First of all, of
So
how that,
weird.
and then also the only thing was like that it was the green headband.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah,
feel like
that was
that was
enough for
not
you to get them confused.
exactly. It's like that says a lot.
So now even thinking about it, like yeah, like maybe that was their tie-in. But okay,
Yeah.
let's to his character. He says that he idolized him, and he even knew the Cartier bracelet that his wife would wear. So you're gonna tell me you weren't 100% sure that that was the right person?
Cage
Unless
died.
unless
But
he signaled, unless he wasn't the one who did it, and it was like
right,
his crew, and they're like
right.
he's
Yeah.
wearing a red green headband. But everybody's got phones, social media. This is a
Yeah,
picture of
well,
what he looks like.
but
Like
where was his son then? Waiting in the
That's what I
bodega?
want to know. And how did they like? Was he like? Did he ever get kidnapped? Because he was gone for a little minute
he
to the
was.
point
Yeah,
where they could have the crew set up in his house with all these computers
yeah,
and phone calls. And I'm like, so did he walk back from school and like crawl? And it took so long. What took him so long from the kidnapping that never happened to him to get back home to the point where you don't call your parents and be like, they got such and such. Oh my gosh, I can't find him. He went to go get this food. I went to get pizza, or he wanted chopped cheese, and
yeah, yeah.
like a lot missing there.
Yeah, 100% because like they said they split for food. The wrong person was kidnapped, but it looks like
Right.
he was beat up a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's almost like the way that only makes sense to me is that maybe they both somehow got kidnapped, and then they're like, "Oh, he has the green headband.
Right.
It's him. We can shove this friend off to the side because we don't need him anymore." That is the most logical sense. But the illogical
Right.
sense is that this man has been waiting at the bodega all night, waiting for his friend to come back and not even thinking about going home. It's like, I don't got no phone, but I got this pizza. So I'm going to eat this pizza here and then wait patiently until my friend comes back in the middle of the night, no matter if it's dark. I'm not even going to try to walk home. Who cares about what my parents or my coach thinks at this time? I know he has my phone, but that's okay. I'm just going to sit here patiently at the bodega. There was definitely a gaping hole there. And then to the point, just as sudden as Denzel picking up the phone, was like, "Yeah, they have our son. They have our son, and they want money. I don't know." And then like the next day is like they found him, and then like they're cheering, and yeah, even after the full 20 minutes of like him trying to figure out like if he's gonna pay the ransom or not, and then he comes in like the next morning, he's like, "Hey, Jeffrey, right? We got something to say." He's like, "We're paying the ransom," and they're cheering as if they found his son.
Right. Right.
They're like giving hugs and like, like dabbing everybody. It's like, is this worth celebrating right now?
My issue is that like he just spent the last time they saw each other is their back and forth where he's like basically begging him to save his son, and he's like,
To save.
I don't
Yep.
know, man. I don't know. Like everybody's just asking me for money, and then the next thing is like, we're gonna pay the ransom, and then they're hugging. It's like, so there's no like. Let's have a conversation about like the shit
Yeah.
like but like I call you beloved, like we're considered family, like why was this even like in a conversation? Like I understand like that was part of his character growth as a person to like to become that person, to realize his wrong ways. I just felt like we stumbled for him to fall into that. Does that make sense?
We did. And we never even really learned like why Jeffrey Wright was so like
Oh, that's a good point.
why he felt like he couldn't ask for anything else because he kept
Mhm.
saying thank you, you've done everything, this, that, and another for me, assuming he probably cleared him of some legal or court issues. But just because that's how the storylines go, if he's the chauffeur, he cleared
Mhm.
him of, but we don't know. We don't know what he did. We don't know what his troubles were that Denzel helped him get out of, to the point where he has the nerve to stack files on top of one another to mimic the things that he does for people.
Yeah.
um, folder after folder after folder after folder. Here, see what you can find. You go from one extreme of I don't like being if people just want things from me to here's $17.5 million. I'm gonna do the right thing.
Mhm.
And then fall to the lowest of sometimes the right thing isn't the right thing for a business
Hmm.
perspective.
Right.
So it was certainly all over the place. And even in 2 hours, there are missing points.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
I would also note, so like the first one is really like it kind of highlights the police and the work they do. Where I felt like this one, did the complete opposite. The police were idiots. They were buffoons. They were like profiling
Mm,
Jeffrey Wright, like you gonna be a problem. It's like he's not doing anything. Like why?
Yeah,
It's
that's a really good
his
point.
son is missing. But like what it just really highlighted for me because at the first one I was like, damn, these cops are like smart as shit. Like just the amount of planning. Like if you ever see it, like you just notice like the entire center of the film, like the main lead, Denzel's character essentially, is almost like omitted from the entire middle of the film. And it just follows all these police and in the different work they're trying to do to try to find this little boy and then recover his money. Whereas this one, prime example, the son is in the hospital. He gives them a very pertinent clue. It's like, hey, I heard this song and I think that this is it. He's like, all right, kid, just tell us what you remember. Like, we'll tell you if the
right.
song is relevant or not. Like, that's obviously not the case. Like, tell us what you remember. Anything else, that's not relevant. And then that turns out to be, I don't know, the most key
Big
piece of
key.
information that needed. But it's almost as if like he flipped it. Like he removed the police and then gave that power to him and Jeffrey Wright as like the heroes, like our unintentional superheroes, to like that the police aren't going to do, so they're going to solve themselves.
But I wonder if that's also Spike Lee's ode to the fact that there is a perception that cops don't respond to missing people who may be black.
Mm,
And that's why in the beginning they talked about the ebony alert, right? That's
yes.
set up in New York versus an amber alert that had been started when people felt like, they've been calling for something to be more focused on black children who go missing. So that might have, Spike Lee is always down for a message of some sort of protest, and that could have been his way of writing that in.
Yeah, it also felt very deliberate and very did you notice cuz it was like I felt natural in the dialogue. I was like, "Oh, did they issue an ebony alert?" And then
Hmm.
at that point it became almost like an awareness because they showed it, they felt like within the narrative it was like, "Oh," and then they explained what it was. And so it to me it felt went from natural to unnatural to be like we called out a thing and then we're gonna explain what this thing is, but it felt like very separate from the movie than going back into the movie. And I feel like a lot of the times that's what he did in this film because even the gorgeous shots of New York. I mean, obviously Spike Lee has a huge appreciation for the culture of New York City,
Hmm.
and you saw that all over this film. However, I felt like it didn't add much to the story as much as I enjoyed looking at the visuals. Like even the juxtaposition of having the Puerto Rican festival
Mm,
with and the music that it was playing in happening at the same time as this car chase. Is like the music and the car chase has nothing to do with one another. And you're trying to highlight New York culture, but then you're trying to give us this tense car chase scene. To me, it just never added up because the the fact that the car chase is happening has nothing to do with the festival. Only the fact that they try to use it as a distraction,
mm.
but that was still
Yeah.
unclear as this was going on. And I don't know, I just feel like there was like Spike Lee was making potentially two different films here, trying to
Mm.
combine them into or 2 or 3 different films, to be honest with you, try to combine them into one movie. It's like, you could have just made a documentary about the appreciation of New York and the different things and the highlights. Like, I would have enjoyed that movie a lot, to see it from your point of view. But it felt very contemporary in a way. Like, I didn't feel like I was watching a thriller at any moment. And I think
Yeah.
because, like, there was no emotional stakes because I don't think the film allowed us to really get to know these characters more than what you were telling me on screen. You didn't really show me anything as Christina, you're pointing out earlier with Jeffrey's Wright's character, like we know he has a history and he has a huge appreciation for Denzel, but we don't know exactly what or why. We just know toward the end of the movie he still has connections on the streets that allows him to find young felon, but we don't know anything
Just like
about
that.
that.
Just like that.
Just like that.
They got
Like I got a
serial
guy.
killers
Give me
all
a
at
second.
Denzel's house,
Yeah.
all set up in his house. They put this massive tracker in this backpack. Like 2025, we can't be discreet. Like what?
That's so
And
true.
then also
That
even
was
with
funny.
young felon, even with young felon, they set him up as like this really intelligent character, but
Yeah,
then he isn't once they find like the money. Like the money was like, You always check under the bed. That's the first place you check is under the bed." It's like, but he was able to construct this elaborate plan to steal the money, but yet he just goes back to his apartment, put the money under his
they put
bed,
it under the bed.
and then give his girlfriend or wife or whoever, his baby mama, the bracelet, and that's it. Like he didn't feel like he really did any effort at all into this. But yet we saw this elaborate car chase with them switching the bag every 5 seconds to different people in the with the motorbike. And so it's like it just didn't add up to me. And then again, when it came down to Denzel and ASAP Rocky having those conversations, that's when I was glued into them.
Mm,
Yeah,
I feel like
that's
at
true.
I feel like at that moment, we were getting the real, like, highest to lowest, and I think he even said it to the point and even the visual of, like, you're on, like, the penthouse of the skyrise, and then you have somebody who is living in this, trying to make it big, and what I found really interesting about that, and probably one of the biggest and probably the best moments of the film, was that young felon felt like he was owed something because he felt like he did the work
mhm,
and I believe he came to a breaking point where he felt like that he kind of painted this picture in his head that he has the best music, he's doing everything right, for the most part, and like he's trying to get recognized by what was stacking hits was
mhm,
Yeah,
yeah, he's trying to get recognized with stacking hits. He idolizes him, Denzel, and like all this stuff, but yet like he felt like he reached a breaking point that he didn't feel like he got what he was owed, and then he took it upon himself to steal the money, which honestly didn't mean anything. Like
right.
up until this point, like stealing the money didn't do anything for him. That we can see that he was planning on using it or going elsewhere or trying to be rich. He just went back to the recording studio like nothing ever happened. I'm not sure if it was just too early in like his process where he was gonna do something else with it, and we were
mm,
just able to catch him before he was able to take that money elsewhere. But I feel like that was the most important part in the conversation that Denzel was having with him. He's like, it's not too late. There's a process. We can make you big. Almost trying to give him a way
And out.
into an out. Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And yet he then just pulled the gun on him and then just ran off. And kind of cementing that, I guess, that choice. But yeah, what were your thoughts on that scene in particular?
I thought it was an interesting setup because right in the scene before when when King is meeting with his girlfriend, she mentions she's like, just recently like he always looked up to you, but just recently like he's just like he's lost all hope. And I just thought that was an interesting way to her to phrase it because like we hear that, when people lose hope, they fall into despair. And that's clearly what happened to him. So and that just that setup, like you kind of understood, you get that inkling of like how he's feeling just from that one moment. And then where in that moment where he's faced with, I have an option to link with him or I can choose the path that I'm on. But because he's still so hurt, like that's the option he chose when he pulls the gun on him. Because that was a moment where where he could have ultimately turned his life around, as opposed to the end of the film when he meets him in his jail cell and he offers him the deal, and King basically tells him he's like all money's not good money. It's like you had your almost like you had your choice, you had your chance, but you failed. Like and now like that deal is no longer valid for you.
All money's not good money, Jerry,
Yeah, that's
as he
right.
said.
Yeah.
I want so Matt, it was interesting your perspective on how the music didn't match the different
Hmm,
car chases and whatnot. So for me, that drew me in.
Mm,
And I
interesting.
say that because Spike Lee is notorious for his scores and the
Mhm.
different song choices he picks on his movies, his shows, even if and I think for those who have seen like shows, She's Gotta Have It, where he had Anthony Ramos star in that.
Hmm.
To see him at the Puerto Rican festival was like a
Mhm.
Spike Lee connection for me as a viewer. And I love number one, I just love the music.
Mm.
So like
Mhm.
I was dancing in my seat, you know?
Yes, yes.
And that kept me glued. I'm like, oh shoot, this is going on in one part of New York while this chase is happening, while someone's kid is kidnapped. It was almost a perspective of your life goes on one side while bad things are happening on the other.
Mm.
And that to me was how I was watching it. I'm like, okay, these people are going about their business. You got Abuelo over here killing it on the keys, like jamming out, and just having a ball, while at the same time, this highest man who everybody knows is fighting to get someone out of being kidnapped by giving up all this money that he was supposed to use for his business, for his legacy. And so I appreciated that for what it was, and but I can understand how it did not match. I guess for me it was like, just as a music head, I'm like, "Oh,
Mhm.
this is great. I love this music. Now I'm glued to see what's going to happen next." But it definitely, I could see how like it doesn't fit because it's not your typical chase music. It's party
Right.
music, it's fiesta music. It's
Mhm.
like this is this part of New York, and he was giving us the culture at the same time. But I also think that's just Spike Lee. Even
Yeah.
his nuances, his tight shots with people looking directly into the camera,
Yeah.
or giving side profiles, going to front profile. Um, his viewpoint when Denzel was in his office contemplating for the umpteenth time on what he was going to do, and he stares at the cover of Ebony magazine, and ASAP Rocky is on the cover. It was almost like hinting, like, okay, well, we know who it is on the other line. We
Hmm.
Mhm.
know who this is, but what is the reason why he just decided to go all in? So I don't know. That part drew me in, I will say.
And it's funny because like I mentioned earlier, like the music itself as a standalone was great. Like I enjoyed listening to it. It wasn't bad music at all. It
Yeah.
just didn't match what was happening. It just didn't, as I read in a review, the rhythm wasn't right. And so I'm not stealing that. It's just that's what I read. But I agree with that. It just the vibe, the whole musical aesthetic just felt completely off to me. And unfortunately, that really pulled me out of the movie. In some cases, I was almost dreading when I did hear the music because it was continuously pulling me out. But I know that if I just listen to the score, I'm gonna hear some beautiful. And I did. I enjoyed it while I was listening to it. But just like as he was talking, it just felt like it felt like it was something different. And I don't know if that's and it most likely is just the style of Spike Lee and how he decides to make his movies. And even to the point where you were saying how they were directly talking in front of the camera to the most part, and some of his nuances that even when Denzel was contemplating what he wanted to do, he was like talking to the picture frames in his office. He's like, Jimmy, what am I gonna do? Aretha, what am I gonna do? Uh,
James.
James, what am I gonna do? You're like, you're the greats. What am I-
Lead
it's like,
me.
really? Why is this happening to me? Um,
Right.
and and I
So
felt like
funny.
in most cases, like again, the movie gave us problem and solution, but not really the meat and the emotional stuff in between. Be- Aside from a few parts, because even like at the end of the day, like okay, well he got back his son, he saved his friend's son, and he got his money back. So like it's a win-win for everybody. He's back on the highest, baby. Like he just had a small low point, and honestly, the lowest is not even him in this movie. It's technically ASAP Rocky, the young felon in this particular sense. I believe that is Denzel's the highest, ASAP Rocky was the lowest. And then even have that conversation when he was in jail, like Ernesto you're mentioning earlier, that he now he feels like he's on top.
Hmm.
And he's like, okay, now like my record is killing it. I have this fan base now. You're going to be an idiot if you don't sign me, and I'm giving you the honor for you to sign me. to stack record or to stacking. I keep forgetting the name.
Stacking
Stacking heights,
hits. Stacking hits.
stacking hits. There you go. Yeah, never gonna remember it. Um, and
But
then he's like, "Go ahead."
no, no, no. Go ahead.
I was just saying that. And then, like, obviously Denzel said no, and he felt like he's like again once again you have young Felon meeting his hero and letting him down once again, kind of cementing, in some cases, never meet your heroes, but also he had this delusion in his head
Mhm.
Hmm.
that this is what the path he should have been on, the path he always should be on. And now he is on top. There's no way he could lose. And yet here he is again, not getting what he wants, now spending 25 years in prison
Mhm.
for what he did. And yeah,
It was just clear he didn't learn the lesson that not all notoriety is good notoriety.
Yep.
right. But for him, it was good notoriety. Nope. I can't say it right. You can know what I'm talking about.
Unfortunately, that's like a lot of people's perception. They think just because they're getting the attention, they think any attention is good attention, whether or not that you can always spin it good or bad. Like, I mean, literally, he's walking into the courthouse and people are like, he's innocent. It's like, no, he's not. He
Yeah.
literally
Like, no, you're
kidnapped.
literally not.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
actually not.
Like, he
You
literally,
orchestrated this whole thing
yeah, exactly. Like, you kidnapped a person and robbed and held this person for ransom. Like, no, you are not.
and shot at someone in the process and ran from
Yeah.
cops. Like, you're not
Yeah,
innocent.
exactly. In no way, shape, or form are you innocent. But yeah, he has this delusion just because he's on top. And what's interesting is that even like the record company was using that to try to keep him in. Like, oh, you can't
Yeah.
leave. Like you like our look how many number one hits. Like all our artists have seen all this bump since your heroic act on the train, which in like on that side it seemed good, but then on the other side his investors are like, so there's this video of you dropping $15 million off the train, and we can't really, we didn't really approve that money for it to be used for that. And
Yeah.
it's interesting that this one moment like has this dual has like almost like a double-edged sword for him. Like yeah, he seemed
Right.
like this hero and he's getting this notoriety, but it's also the thing that's causing him from furthering to either buy this company or for them to like leave him latched in. Like he like truly putting him between a rock and a hard place after he feels he did the thing, the morally ethical thing.
Yeah. I think that's kind of what it boils down to is you have money. What are you going to do with it? If someone is in a bind, are you willing to risk it all to help someone, or are you going to keep it because you want your future to be successful? And it's a lesson I think of just like you said, doing the morally ethic thing. In the end, he's like, all right, here, I'll give this money, not realizing that his partners were going to be like, actually, now you got to pay us back.
Hmm.
And we're bowing out of this
Yeah.
deal. And he's like, but I did the right thing. What do you mean? And now he's scrapped trying to get his money back so he can keep his business, which in a way, karma worked in his favor because he did the right thing.
Hmm.
So, or the morally ethic thing, which in turn is the right thing, helping someone who was in desperate need. So it's kind of a message to that too. What do you do when you're in power? And how are you willing to sacrifice your money if it means helping someone who is desperate for your help?
Does it feel like as we were discussing, like it feels like we're watching two different movies in the sense of like we have this one perspective on the certain angle of it, but then there's another whole aspect of this movie that it feels like I feel like as we're talking about Young Felon, I feel like a completely different movie, and we're talking about the business angle, and I feel like a completely different movie,
Mm,
like as if they were somewhat separated but also together at the same time, and they found a way to kind of pull it together. Do you think the movie would have benefited if we would have focused it less on the I know this was the basis of the film, but less on the moral dilemma of it all and more of the consequences of already quickly doing the right
Mm,
thing. Because
yes.
if we would have just shaved off 20 minutes, hell, even
yeah,
30 minutes, of just him trying to figure out whether or not he should do the right thing, because I don't feel like that amounted to anything emotionally or
right.
drama. But if he was instantly just very quick to how he was very quick to be like, yeah, how much they want for my son? I'm gonna give you anything. And then his son came back, and then like, all right, how much they want for his son? I'll still pay it. Like if they just cut out all of that unnecessary drama, in my opinion, and went right to it, and then maybe it wasn't even that big of a deal that we even got him back. It was actually a simple process, and all of a sudden now you're dealing with the dilemma of him, like you guys were just suggesting, morally doing the right thing, but now seeing the consequences of that, and only him is the one being affected by it. Even though he's getting these praise on social media that he's a hero, but yet he doesn't feel like he's a hero because everything is crashing down on him now, being at his lowest point because he decided to do the right thing. I feel like that would have been a more interesting movie.
So what you're saying, instead of it being like an external battle with others, is that we as viewers watch it as an internal battle as him as a character.
Yes.
I
Yeah,
100% agree with that.
I like that. I can see that 1,000% because then it would have been about okay, he gets the phone call. Maybe we would have heard the phone call, right?
Mm,
Maybe we would have seen the kidnapping if it were less about him deciding what's right, what's wrong. I've got this money. What are the consequences? Then, all right, kids playing basketball, they go eat. They follow them to the bodega, to the pizza restaurant. Kidnapping happens. We watch the phone call instantly. Son comes home. Oh my gosh, they have such and such. And you watch him pay the money while also dealing with the fallout from losing all of these deals.
mm,
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
that would have
And
been
then
fun.
maybe if we're trying to, yeah, and then maybe if we want to bring this back around, being like, okay, now here are all these consequences. I'm gonna now try to get my money back. And he's already working with the police, and then maybe you can have the interactions with young felon of like, you know, the real reason why he wanted to take all of his money in the first place. And I don't know, do you think this movie would have benefited if we actually got the point of view in some areas of ASAP Rocky's character? Because I feel like
Oh,
that he just, with
Absolutely.
the first time we saw him was in the recording studio, and honestly in a very weird way where I guess his music producer or was just like was just listening to him, do whatever in the studio,
He was
and
on
then
Cloud
Denzel just peeked through the door, and,
put a gun in his
and it
back.
was
He's
like,
like, I guess I'm gone. Peace out. You
yeah,
figure it out.
Right, right.
I'm not loyal to you.
No way.
he's like, oh my god, it's the king. I gotta go. You're like, what just happened? Like he just left.
Oh my
He's like,
god.
oh,
I would have
I'm
laughed.
yeah, I can't even be in the same presence of this man. I don't
This
even know if
man,
he even
it's
knows
the king. I'm
it's the
gone.
king. I don't
Ah,
even know if he even know that like he stole the money. For all I know, he could just. For all I know, we could have been like, "Oh,
true.
that's the king." I'm not even gonna be in this room. I'm not even gonna be anywhere near this drama.
Well, he put a gun to his back. He put his gun in and like he
Did.
like shoot him out. But even
Did he?
still, yeah, yeah, that's
He
how he
did.
got him out. He put the gun to him, and then he's just like, "Oh!" But even then, didn't say anything, didn't do anything. He's just like, "I don't give." It's like, "Hey, young blood, I actually don't care about you. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna
Yeah.
leave now." He just leave. He just fucking leaves. He just walks out the door. Doesn't
You know what?
say
I'm gonna
anything.
take
Nothing.
five. I'm gonna take five
Yeah,
right now. You keep doing your thing, young fella. I'm gonna go. Not here. All right.
yeah.
That is so funny. Yeah, it was those moments made me genuinely chuckle because I'm like, what? Okay, Denzel, you just cut in here. Also, the fact, can we talk about Denzel running up these stairs at nearly 70 years old when he's filming this? Like, his knees. I was hurting watching him, and it was at a genuine speed, so there were no doubles. It was
Yeah.
just Chase because they was moving slowly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, go ahead, Denzel. Yeah.
But honestly, there is no way he caught up
No.
to ASAP Rocky.
No.
No,
No
no,
way.
no way.
Especially that he took the time because Jeffrey Wright got shot in the eye, or no, sorry,
Got,
he
The
got
shard. He got hit with a
the,
piece of
got
glass.
glass in
yeah.
my eye. Go get that motherfucker. I got glass in my eye.
You don't end up
Go
buying
get
a
him! Go get him! Don't
hospital.
worry about me.
Get the money.
So he took the time to see if his friend was okay, and then had enough speed to catch up to this young man on the subway.
Oh man.
And then also, and sorry, another goofy note that he found a way to go on top of the subway and also back into the subway for no reason. I don't know how he got up
Yep.
there. He just led to believe that he's nimble enough to get himself up the subway train, and then had to just quickly bring him back down to give Denzel really a fighting chance. And then after a
Literally.
few blows, just a few punches, he's out. He's good. Like Denzel, you win the day. You're the king after all.
The king.
A lot of whimsical
Too
moments. But
funny.
anyway, back
funny.
back to ASAP. Do you think we would have benefited from getting maybe even 10 minutes, 15 minutes from his perspective? Maybe if the movie took a pause and decided to go back a little bit and see where his struggle was, so we can see maybe some of the reason why he decided to, kidnap his kid for real.
I mean, I would have loved like literally you could have used that his obsession with him could have also been an introduction to us as King as a character. Like we could have
Mm.
been watching him,
Mm.
like watching montages of him and learning, like getting a preview of who this character is by having him obsessively watch him all the time. And even that setup would have been like just enough.
That's
Yeah.
true. And I
Go ahead.
think
Sorry.
they could have used the opportunity where King was sitting with his spouse, right?
Hmm.
When she was like, he really idolized you. Give us a flashback in that
Hmm.
moment, right?
Oh.
Yeah.
Let's go back to those days where he idolizes him, or let's go back to the moment, man, as soon as he, or even when he's saying when he got out of the pen, he used all this time to be this person. Flashback then to him
Mm.
getting out of jail and show us what he did to get to this point. Because honestly, that song was great. I don't know if
Yeah.
it's out on like real life, but it's a great song. That's Fed's point. Um, yeah, I think those conversations, whether it's the interaction in the studio or King interacting with his spouse, they could have used those moments to give us a flashback. And like Ernesto, like you said, we also would have learned about King in the process
Hmm.
of
Hmm.
learning about Young Felon.
Honestly, there could have been a movie where we even, like Ernesto, like you mentioned, even started the movie with young felon idolizing King, and like even to some points of the film, getting it from his perspective before we even get introduced to the King himself. Like this movie could have been in the perspective of young felon. And honestly, I think ASAP Rocky, in my opinion, gave a better performance out of anybody in that movie. Even more so than Denzel and Jeffrey Wright. That's just my opinion. I really like once he was on the screen, I was glued to see finally because we were kind of building to him this whole time to see what he had to say. And I feel like some of the stuff, even though most of it I didn't agree with, but I was just curious to see like and I was hoping to get to the point of this movie, like where was the meat of it? And I feel like I got that once his character was introduced. If they would have given him more time earlier in the movie, that meeting would have been such more powerful to be like, okay, we
Mhm.
got this perspective, we got this perspective. Now here's this interaction we've been waiting for the last 2 hours.
It almost would have been better is if they'd introduced the movie instead of it being like Denzel's movie, is almost if it was both of their movies and you're watching both of
Hmm.
their stories side by side. Because then we
Yeah,
have King at his highest, but then we have Young Felon at his lowest, and then we slowly
Lowest.
see the back and forth, and then ultimately King come on top, and they end up right back where they started with King back on top and Young Felon at his lowest. Like it, so I totally agree with you. It's almost like a whole other movie could have been crafted from that, and even like giving ASAP Rocky Young Felon character like him room to breathe. Because I do agree, like I think that he was able to match with Denzel. Like
yes,
on some
Yeah.
like somebody who's I haven't really seen him in much, but for him like he made those scenes really like they just paired really well together, and then for him to be able to match with somebody as such star power as Denzel speaks to him as an actor.
Yeah, and I think the best, honestly, for me, one of the best scenes was his interaction with Wendell Pierce, his business partner, when his
Yes.
business partner was like,
mm,
okay, you lost this money, now you owe us this money. They dapped it up at the end and went about their ways, basically indicating it's not personal. This is
yeah,
business. And Wendell Pierce is just phenomenal.
Hmm.
So for him to have that short appearance with Denzel, the two of them on screen together, to me was a special moment. It was a special moment between two guys trying to get their businesses together, trying to figure out what they're going to do, despite trying to do the right thing. You still owe us money, my guy. You still got to pay
yeah,
us
Hmm.
because you lost these coins. It doesn't matter how close we are. So that acting was great. ASAP Rocky's great in anything he's in, which is interesting because you don't see him in much.
Mm.
But when
hmm,
you do, to get a role like this and to have such interaction with Denzel, and I'd imagine Denzel mentored him significantly,
sure,
Oh yeah,
sure,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
because that's just who he is anyway. Um, And I'm sure he played a heavy hand in his performance.
I think also, Ernesto, you made a really good point about the highest to lowest. We even could have ended the movie with like a young felon at his highest point of his career, yet still in prison,
Hmm.
which we kind of in the same fashion did in the movie. But yet we have Denzel and the king at his, kind of like the highest point morally because he did the right
Mhm.
thing and give the money, but also financially now he's at his lowest because because of doing the right thing and kind of doing that moral dilemma of like, yeah, but now my world has shattered because
Yeah.
now I don't have any money. Now, granted, he got the money back, and it seems like everything was happy at the end of the movie because within all this process, which doesn't really add up to me, in my opinion, he decided to start his own record label to focus back on the music. Which, if that was also part of the story, I think they also didn't do a really good job of like having him like really listen like he used to, like the that was introduced by with his wife is like you used to walk the streets and listen to music and find talent. You
Yes.
don't do that anymore. And I like that aspect of it, but we never really did that until the story told us that Denzel's going to walk down the bridge of New York while listening to the song that he remembered kind of sort of, and then eventually runs back to the hotel, the hospital, to make it like, is this a song you were looking for? um and then it's like, "Yeah, that's the one." And then the police is like, "That's not important, I said Dr. King, Mr. King. Uh,
We got to run it
that's
through AI. It's gonna take a
yeah,
little while. Like just totally just making the police just seem like buffoons that are beholden to red tape.
yeah,
Right.
yeah." And I
Meanwhile,
think,
his partner is texting his buddy in the side.
It already found his address in like
yeah,
2 seconds.
yeah, found
The streets
his
found him. The streets
the
found
street
him, man.
found him. Yeah, another angle for Spike Lee to be like, "Don't listen to cops, but the
The
streets,
streets always know.
streets know. They always
They
know
know.
in New
They
York.
always know
They always."
everything.
I feel like we got a little bit of, they tried to give us a little bit of him, like of how much his appreciation for music, but I feel like we didn't really get it until like the very final end scene of the film where it's kind of like that,
Yeah,
and it was very much a like a hopeful, like very like happy Hollywood ending, which I'm kind of okay with. Like I don't think we don't need to be movies to be like we don't have to be so cynical about every ending. Like it was kind of nice that it wrapped up into like, now let's make a smaller family business, where his son is kind of like taking authority and like wanting to be his own man, and like him including his wife as like co-owner, and like this is just a thing that they are all going to do together. And then it ends with this beautiful musical sequence by Azura C Singh. Like she was fantastic. I thought that
mhm,
was a great musical number, but in that moment, like, is when we get him appreciating him as like a music mogul, like appreciating music. And maybe we needed like a little bit more of that in the earlier film. Maybe in the beginning of the film, maybe see him do it in the Stacking Hits Records building, like him like interviewing an artist, and maybe not appreciating as much. So we have this dichotomy in the end of the film where you truly see him appreciating music.
I think it honestly reminded me a little bit of Empire. I'm always
Mm,
mhm.
like, I see a TV show in almost every movie, and this could have been a series. So we could really
Yes.
dive into every character, get that character development that we were
ooh.
missing, and the appreciation of where his love for music comes from, because we don't know that either, besides the scene where he's yelling at the pictures at Aretha and Jimmy and James. You know? Yeah, that gives indication that he appreciates legendary artists such as them. But other than that, we don't really know much about his connection to good music.
Yeah.
And, though I will say the end scene was nice because it also took us back to the moment where his son at the very beginning was like, this is my
Mm,
legacy too.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it kind of brought us full circle in that point of at the beginning where he's walking son to basketball practice. He talks about the future of him being the legacy. And then at the end, dad finally listens to his son about this woman who he so happens to have a crush on as well.
Of course.
But, you know, this woman who can sing, which is part of her name,
Yeah.
Sula C.
Asula can
Can
sing.
sing.
Can sing.
So cheesy. But that it reminded me of Empire. Like that was giving Empire vibes.
Mm,
Which isn't bad. It's not
no.
bad. Happy endings can be good.
You actually make a really good point on two fronts. One, that's a third element of the movie that felt like a completely different aspect of the movie where like appreciation for music, losing the love for it, regaining it back, and then you have the
Mhm.
financial dilemma of like I have this business, I want to get out of it, kind of roping into all of that. Then there was like this kidnapping part, and then there was like the young felon, like that kind of tied into all of it. But I think you're absolutely right. I think if this was a series, we could have given a little bit like it could have been a whole episode dedicated to the moral dilemma. It could have been a whole
Yep.
episode dedicated to learning about Denzel and the King and his appreciation for music. A whole nother episode dealing with the transfer of the money. A whole episode dedicated to ASAP Rocky's young felon character, seeing what his all about. And then, it could have been a limited series and then another final episode of kind of all that coming together and going back appreciating music. I think that would have been able to give it the time it needed. Where I just felt like we got three different things going on here, and we're trying to piece them together, and not all of it really landed. We could have had a whole episode of him just showing nice views of New York with no sound, or it's all music, all visuals, and it's like that's New York, baby, and it's like, yep, yep, I appreciate
That's
that.
New York. But you know what? Even but
Give us a Nats package.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But like every episode, like just every transition could have been another shot of New York, just of another area. It could have been weaved in through every episode. I mean, this excuse me would have killed as a limited series. Like I
100%.
think, and I think maybe Matt, this is me assuming. I think your issue is that there's a lot of good things that they wanted to do in this film, but it feels like it was just kind of overstuffed in the time that we were given.
It's yes, but also there's like things just didn't land.
Yeah, you're
I
right.
think
Yeah,
if
yeah.
yeah, and also there was a lot of I'm gonna tell you but not show you. And
Mm.
so I think that was also part of it as well. Like if you showed me, like we mentioned earlier, the kidnapping, then I would have felt some of the emotional stakes
But
for it. If you would have shown me his appreciation for music rather than telling me he appreciates music and him talking to the photos in his office, then yeah, it's a show and tell. Like I rather
Yeah.
you show me so I can feel it rather than you telling me and you're telling me how to feel because you told me that this is what this character is.
yeah,
And
that's what I
I
mean.
think
Yeah.
a series would have helped with that,
Yeah,
yeah.
that if it was a limited
For sure.
series, that it would have landed. It would have
Yeah.
landed much
That
much
would have
stronger for
taken
you.
us on such an emotional roller coaster in a series, a limited series. 8 episodes. Eight
Yeah,
episodes would have been great. You learn about their love life. You see
yeah.
maybe there's even a moment of him giving her the Cartier bracelet, right? Because
Mm.
that
Mm.
played such a big role, and that was the determining factor. Like, boom, here's the evidence. She got all the bracelets. This
Yeah.
is it.
Well, even so funny where he was like, "Hey, can I take a photo of it?" It's like, "Oh, yeah, I can take a photo." It's like, "Okay, you're gonna send this to police?" "Nah, I'm gonna put it right in my
No.
pocket."
Nope, because they're
I was like,
unnecessary.
did he? He must have sent it to them because they went to her apartment and
That's
found the
true.
money
Mm.
while they were hunting down young felon.
And
So we didn't see that though. I
and we
assumed he
did
sent the picture.
yeah, you're right, that's a pure assumption. There was no way telling, there was nothing that, like, because the next time we see the police after the hospital is in his apartment.
At the apartment.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
but
don't
also
know.
it could have been like we didn't even have any like the cop just agreed to everything King did because like he ended up taking him down. He's like, "Hey, I found the killer. Here's the proof. She's wearing the bracelet, the money, all not the killer, sorry, the kidnapper." And like like what he did was okay because he got the end result that he looked for. And maybe that was a privilege thing that was also part of it
Had to.
Mm.
because even Jeffrey Wright was like, "Oh, you're willing to give him the courtesy when his son was missing, but you didn't get the same he didn't get the same courtesy back." And that played again another small role in this movie with not like respecting certain people of power and not others. Like they touched upon that very slightly, but it was there. It was there in the movie. But yeah, they just kind of just brushed off as like, yeah, this 7-year-old man just went rogue and caught this guy thanks to the streets and his and I guess
Apparently
his
interfered with the whole investigation with guns.
You with
Yeah.
guns.
with guns. No problem.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, look, you got your money back? Well, I guess that's just a happy ending for all of us, isn't it? I
Yeah.
think we're all just happy here."
Not to
Because he's
mention the fact that his friend was already in jail and like cleared his probation and still had weapons. Like, is he allowed
yeah,
to do
It's like, I don't think that's allowed. The streets say it's allowed.
yeah, the streets are allowed. Also, did we really get a real explanation of the amount, the 17.5 million, and the fact that he wanted in French,
In Swiss francs. So
yeah, Swiss francs?
I
that's
think
fun?
that that is a try to an homage to the original, because in the original they asked for exact denominations, and for it to be put in a briefcase that's a certain amount of, that's a certain dimension, because in the original film that trade-off also happens on a subway. So the kidnapper tells him to put the briefcases through a slot, because in that's the exact space that the subway train would open for him to shove the
Mm,
briefcase out. So
I
I
see.
think so. And then they kind of explain in this one where they mention, where she mentions the weight of the weight of the bills would be much lighter in Swiss francs.
Oh, interesting.
but that didn't really
Hmm.
mean anything.
Well, yeah, because
No.
she said the exact amount. If he had gotten this in hundreds, that would have been like almost 400 pounds, as opposed
Mhm.
to it being like maybe like 100 pounds, or it was a significantly less amount that it than in the denomination that he ordered. But that was part
Enough.
of
So it
him.
made it easier for them to toss the backpack from
Correct,
biker to biker.
correct. I mean, much easier from throw
Okay.
like 100 pounds than it is 400
Yeah.
pounds.
Yeah. Also, another weird shot, and then this is just Spike Lee being Spike Lee. You had like this overshot of like the money, and then you had Denzel, his wife and kid just handing him all the money while they're just putting it in the backpack. It was a weird shot. Another weird shot was like the kind of the double cuts of every time he was having a greeting with somebody. I feel like that was just a stylistic choice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's not really, I'm not really knocking it, but it was just like every time like he said hello to someone and kind of gave him a hug or like some sort of greeting, it cut from one angle, and then instantly to another.
yeah,
It was almost yeah, it was like a
like front
very
to back.
jarring cut.
Like they would do the dap, and then when they go in is when you would cut to see the character on the other side. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and they did it
That's
a lot. Yeah,
Yeah.
and they did it a lot in the beginning of the movie, and then they never really did it again after that. It was yeah, and then there's also just a lot of these like home video feels that they brought to them, just
yeah.
staring into the camera. Again, very much like a stylistic choice on his part.
The one that really threw me off is when we're on the train and they're doing the chant for the Yankees, and you have the one
I was
actor.
gonna bring that up.
He
Oh my
literally
gosh.
he looks directly at the camera. He goes, "Fuck Boston." I was like,
But
whoa, it's not that
that's
deep.
so Spike Lee. That like again, if you go back to She's Gotta Have It, that style is all through that series from
Mm,
his original and the remake with Jeffrey Ramos, like directly close-ups into the camera, looking into people's mouths and throats deep into their eyeballs. Like that's that's just Spike. But Greg, my husband was watching it and he was like, I wonder if that's another Spike message, being a New York sports fan
Yo, yeah,
and
Hmm.
how much hate they have toward Boston. Like, really just using the movie to put New York on a pedestal and all the things that come with it
yeah,
and showing how sports fans really are, while also using it as a distraction for young felon's buddy to pull the brake on the train.
hmm,
And
Yeah,
no one noticed he pulled the brake on the train,
that's
thinking
right.
it to suddenly stop. But it was very much like, all right, now Spike,
yeah.
we know it's a Spike Lee joint.
But yeah,
Okay,
it
give
but
us
you see all, but
give
it's
us
like
a sec.
that. And he mentions like the reason why he included the Puerto Rican Day Parade is because where he grew up, it was predominantly Puerto Rican and black, and it's kind of,
Mm,
so as much as he wanted to highlight black culture, he also wanted to highlight like just how intermixed they were within that neighborhood, and showcasing Eddie Palmieri and the Spanish orchestra, like that song that he played. Like I grew up listening to that song,
Yeah.
like
I
it's.
loved it.
Oh, it was so, and it's so good, and but so I understood, and also Rosie Perez.
Yeah.
Well, that's another callback to her cameoing. She was in Do the Right Thing, So
Yeah.
her and Anthony Ramos in just two different Spike Lee projects, and kind of like bringing them
Yeah,
back for that cameo. So, but
that's true. I love that.
Matt, I understood where you meant where you see, because I saw it as that as his part of the film. Like, okay, this is the next way we're gonna honor New York and honor the culture of New York,
Yeah.
but also use it as a plot device, as this thing, and then also at the same time honoring the original film with the handoff being on the train. So he's like he's got these four things he's handling within this one sequence.
Yeah. And again, for me, just all of it doesn't 100% land, even though like I like those things individually. Like I know what you're doing, but just when you put it together, I'm just not jiving with it 100%. Like I can still dance with the music, but and then enjoy the car chase, but I'm enjoying them for two separate reasons, not because they're together.
But I
So
think that
imagine if like Denzel were walking and he saw the Puerto Rican festival, right? And he
mm,
stopped and
Yes.
appreciated that music for what it is. And that helped just again, if it were a limited series and if that were part of an episode of his musical background, that could have been on his walk, you
mm,
know.
Yes. 100%.
And you stop, you listen, you enjoy, you keep it moving, and you're seeing the cultures in New York, you're seeing the musical influence that comes from New York. And that also comes into his record label.
mm.
Yeah, if that is a perfect example of having the exact same scene without the car chase, but like just reframing it to what the movie already presented, which was his, giving his appreciation for music. You're right. If he just walked down the streets of New York, and we could have saved maybe 10 minutes off of him trying to figure out whether or not he's going to give the money or not, and then have him like, you know what, my wife said I wasn't paying attention to the music. I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then going through this Puerto Rican festival. Also, the beginning of the movie, the very beginning, before we even see Denzel, we had the whole song play out while we're getting aerial shots of New York. It's like, what a beautiful morning, and you're like, wow.
Because he's at his highest point.
Wait a
He is the
minute,
top.
Matt, you can sing.
I know,
Yeah.
right? I think we need to hear. I think you need to do the entire song for us. Is what I'm hearing. I
Vibrato.
know. You didn't even warm up. You were ready. You were ready for that shit. He was
He's still
before.
holding an internet, so he was
I
waiting.
know, before he started this episode, he's in the bathroom. He was before, he's like
Drinking his
he's like
tea.
Yeah.
he's like, I'm gonna do it.
I've listened to that whole intro about 5 times. I was ready for it. I'm gonna do it.
You gave it your best shot. Nailed it. Nailed it.
Yes.
So good.
Oh, that was great. That was great.
I can't.
Oh my god. But even but even at that point of the movie was like also just very jarring to me. Like if either the appreciation for the song, for you just want to give a whole 5-minute intro to your opening credits and showing aerial shots of New York. Again, but yeah, just another aspect of like, here's a stylistic choice
Mm,
that we're doing, and it's not uncommon for a lot of movies to have like an opening credits with music overlaying it. So like that part didn't bother me, but just like seeing the movie as a whole, like that is also part of it as well. Also, going back to Christina's point, that opening scene could have been Denzel walking the streets of New York,
absolutely.
appreciating the music, what it was, and still have just him walking down, showcasing different. Like you could have still had one song overlaying, but you could have seen him just like, oh yeah, I like what you're doing. I like what you're doing. Like maybe even dancing in the Puerto Rican festival. Like even having the Puerto Rican festival song as the opening number, as
Mm,
he's just walking through the streets. That could have been a better placement for that. I mean, I can continue all day how much this movie just felt a little bit displaced for me, but like there, I mean, I think we showcased a lot of different aspects of what this movie could have worked conventionally, but then also knowing this is a Spike Lee joint, it could have been intentional that all this stuff was
Yeah.
done unconventionally.
yeah,
Like
Yeah.
like
100%.
it could have just been his style. And I've admittedly have not seen a lot of Spike Lee movies. I've seen Inside Man and I've seen the Black Klansman, which both films I hugely enjoy.
Yeah,
Um, but I have yet to see Malcolm X or Do the Right Thing. And I feel like these are like movies in like cinema history
yeah,
that I just felt like it has not gotten to me yet. And my plan was to try to watch it before watching this movie just to get a better appreciation for Spike Lee as a filmmaker. I just time got away from me and I didn't get a chance to catch some of these movies. But it's still on the list of like I'm really slacking on this part of cinema history, and I feel like even some of those parts that like I didn't enjoy, there's probably a lot of people who have seen his previous work and it's like, oh, well, I don't mind this because of who he is as a filmmaker. I understand what he's
Right.
doing, and like there's something to be said about watching a like a filmmaker's career and their body of work, and then seeing their newest movies and in an older age and kind of like appreciating like, oh, this is the nuances here, or here's the here's a callback from a thing he did in prior movies. And I feel like part of it for me, I didn't catch a lot of that if that was indeed in the film.
But yes, I agree with you. But I would also say that there is something to say about like coming to a legendary director with a fresh set of eyes and not having his past movies as context. So then you kind of look at him as like a seasoned director, but you don't have, but you I don't know, like it's an I think it's a good perspective to have too, to come at these
Yeah.
legendary directors with a fresh set of eyes without like really appreciating their work and then going back later to appreciate it, if that makes any sense.
Hmm.
Absolutely, because if you go when you go back and watch some of his movies, and that's what made me appreciate it, right? Again, it still took me about an hour to see Spike
Mm.
Lee and what I felt like is a Spike Lee I've known, even going back to like School Days. If you watch that movie, you'll see the same sort of nuances. But once I hit that hour mark, I was like, okay. And I said to my husband, I said, this is a Spike Lee joint.
Mm.
And I started immediately appreciating it for the artwork, for his style, for the way he presents movies and directs them, and camera angles and all the cinematography that comes along with it. That's what made me appreciate it. So I think when you do go back and you get that time to watch some of his other movies, you'll be like, okay, this is that's just Spike. Now it doesn't change the fact that there was a lot squeezed in there,
Yeah.
even though it was two
Yeah.
hours. Like it was
Yeah.
2 hours of a lot of, like you said, still moments that could have been a lot more beneficial toward character development and the entire plot of the movie. Um, however, I still it should have been a series. Should have been a
Yeah.
series, Spike.
Like it would have been, but that's the thing. Like if it was a limited series, like this would have been like peak for him. To me, like I felt like there was
Yeah.
so much he was trying to get across with his story, and then using it as a way to honor the original. Like he clearly has a deep appreciation for the source material and like what
Mm.
they were trying to get across, and I think that he was trying to make sure that he honored all those things within this film, that it would have just like, it's not that the movie's bad, it's that it's overstuffed and that it actually needed room to breathe. Like we actually wanted
To
more.
breathe,
The
yeah.
issues is that we wanted more, and that like
Yeah.
to see Denzel like fully expand on a character in a limited series, I think would have been absolutely incredible at
Oh
this point
yeah.
in his career.
Also for Denzel to be part of the series
That's
too.
what
I
I'm
don't know if
saying.
he.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, like even like some of the flaws that I'm pointing out, is like I'm looking for, like I mentioned, like I'm looking for a different movie that Spike Lee wanted to make.
Mm,
Obviously, like like I'm looking for a movie with either character development, with conventional uh conventional devices to have our character grow and really feel for something. And then Spike Lee could have been like, no, this is obviously the movie he wanted to make, and trying to separate and we talk about a lot about this show, expectations, what you expect from what the film to be to what the film actually is.
mhm,
And
Mhm.
like I can trash this movie all day to be like, this is what this should have happened. This would have should have been. This was the movie that I expected, instead of, okay, yes, that is one part of my feelings toward it, but I also, and I think it's important to recognize, this is the movie what we got. So what was he trying to say in the film that we got, rather than the movie I felt like we should have got?
mhm,
Mm.
And I feel like in this case, I think we did a little bit of both, and and trying to figure out like, yeah, this would have been worked if it did this or that, but
Yeah.
I I think, but ultimately, he still said a lot, even with careers, like at certain points of people's careers. You have Denzel Washington at, I wouldn't even say at the height of his career. I feel like he was at a transition moment of his career, and he was willing to invest all this money to gain back, um, or gain back the record label. And then in addition, you have this other person who is young felon who is trying to grow and feel like he's not getting what he's owed. And then in the middle of all that, there's a social media conversation there as well of how
Mhm.
Hmm.
like young felon is like feeling that he's on top of the world. People want to, his music is going off the charts. People want him to think is innocent, and then also he was able to use social media to gain all this access to Mr. King and his family to then orchestrate the kidnapping and the ransom, and stuff like that. So like there was still a lot that he was doing that he wanted to say in this movie. I think ultimately, like as we were explaining throughout this review, is that there was just a lot in this film.
Yeah, definitely. And it
Yeah.
was it was, the feedback we give is we I personally can say, like, I loved it for what it was.
Mm.
It's
Yeah.
just like you said, what we things that we wanted to see and questions we still have, and you know wanting more. Anything Denzel does, though, is going to be
Yeah.
fantastic, even though his toupee was a little meh. I did chuckle at that. I said, "Not Denzel." Now, sir. But no, I loved seeing him do something like this, take an original and bring it to life in a new way. And the fact Denzel is still at it. You
Mm.
know what I
Yeah.
mean? Just to see him on any screen right now and to know I can only imagine the conversations he was having with people on that set, or even with the woman who played his wife. Talking with her as she is starting to build her career in different series right now, working with other directors. It's it's just really admirable to see the two of them, to see Spike and Denzel come together
Hmm.
to create something like this. And they're just giving people what works, putting something out, and just doing what makes them happy at this point of their careers. Because Spike nor Denzel need to really do anything
No.
No.
right now. They really don't. Like, they are set. Their legacies extend far beyond them. The things they have done are just so incredible. And really, to me, this is just them getting creative and having fun.
Hmm.
And I think I think you see that, giving people chances, different opportunities to star in different movies, starting to like groom the next people who want their acting shots. And I think that's pretty cool to see too.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, this is the I just looked it up. This is the 5th film that, Denzel and Spike Lee has worked together on, so clearly
Yeah.
there's a history there. And honestly, between even with Spike Lee, the last movie we got from Spike Lee was 5 years ago with The Five Bloods, which we actually reviewed
We did
on
great.
this show many,
Hmm.
many years ago, which I don't remember what we talked about in that movie. But I can have remember a vibe of saying, like, here's another unconventional movie from Spike
Yeah.
Lee. And now, like, who knows when the next time we're even going to see a Spike Lee movie? If the between was 5 years, and even Denzel has come out and said that I only got like a few more movies left in me. So he's going to be very particular what projects he wants, and for him, it's like I just want to work with Spike Lee again. Whatever your newest project, Spike Lee, I would be in it. Like maybe he wants to do one last movie with Spike Lee. We already know that he's going to be in Black Panther 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ryan Coogler has stated that
That's going
Denzel
to be
has a part.
amazing.
That's gonna be fantastic. That
Yeah.
yeah, Ryan Coogler said he has a part in this movie for him, and so Denzel being in a Marvel movie is crazy to even think about.
And let's just tell you how Denzel doesn't even care because he's the one who inadvertently it wasn't even this movie. I think it was the last Equalizer movie that he's just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be in Black Panther 3. It's like you're not supposed to
Yeah.
tell people yet.
Yeah,
Denzel doesn't care. And
Yeah,
the
yeah,
internet is like, Denzel is that grandfather now where you hear all the stories and they say whatever they want to say because they've lived their life.
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
Like, what are you gonna do?
I love
Fire
it.
me?
yeah. It's like okay, okay.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
love
I
it.
think
I love it.
I think I remember him saying that he has like again like not a like even a lot of people are kind of giving him jokes about his performance in Gladiator 2, which I personally enjoyed his performance, but like I remember like reading a lot of reviews saying that he did not care about trying to do an accent or
Yeah.
trying to be with the times of the Roman times. He's like, nope, that is Denzel acting in a Gladiator movie,
Yeah.
and that's all you need to know.
This is how my character talked.
Yeah, yeah.
Denzel's like, I'm here. what next?
Yeah.
What do
Yeah,
you need
yeah.
from me? I am here with my name on it. People will watch.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, pretty much. It looks like here that he has a movie coming that's in pre-production called Here Comes the Flood. It says a bank guard, a teller, and a master thief become entangled in a deadly game. Sounds like a mystery thriller there. And then
Okay.
Black Panther 3 and an untitled Denzel project that has nothing. Oh, it's a historical drama based on the real warrior Hannibal, considered to be one of the greatest military commanders in history. The film covers the crucial battles that led against the Roman Republic during the Second Punic War. So
Hmm.
Huh.
that with Antoine Fuqua who did the Equalizer film.
Nice.
So yeah, so like yeah, he's definitely
Okay.
probably choosing his projects. And again, like I don't know when these projects are coming out, but there's only three more left. This could be the last three movies in Denzel's career for all we know.
True.
Um,
Oh, that's gonna be a gut punch.
yeah. Can you imagine the last movie he's in is Black Panther 3? That's
That would be iconic in so many ways.
Yeah.
yeah, that'd be so good. But yeah, as we're wrapping up this conversation, Christina, we're gonna start with you. What are your final thoughts on highest to lowest? And we do a 5-star rating here. So out of five, we do half stars as well. Kind of what's your 5-star rating here?
Right. To be fair, I'm gonna give highest to lowest 3.5 stars,
Hmm.
Okay.
and I will give it 3.5 stars for and leaning closer to 4 stars for the simple fact it's Denzel and a Spike Lee joint. That
Mm.
alone to me is worthy of 5, just the two of them working together. But if you go based off of the storyline, some of the acting, the way the puzzle pieces just kind of magically appeared in place before we could really see the full picture, that's why I would give it 3.5 stars. I wish we had more. I wish it could have been a limited series. But overall, I was so thrilled to see Denzel do something again with Spike. I love everything that Spike Lee does, and it was really, really exciting to see some of the new actors on the scene making their way into the movie and appearances by other greats such as Wendell Pierce.
Mm.
So
Hmm.
3.5. Probably will watch it again, maybe only because my husband was working while he was watching it, so he didn't really see all of it.
Mm.
So we might go back and double back.
Okay.
Would I recommend it? I'd say watch it because it's
Yeah.
two greats working together. You have to. I feel like you're obligated to watch
Yeah. Ernesto.
So I'm also gonna go 3.5, and only for the fact that like my main issue is same sentiment as you, is that we wanted more. Like there's so much there that you could have given us so much more, and we could have really appreciated the story. So I just think that there was a missed opportunity for us to really fully expound upon the story. But I felt like some of the stuff we got was really good. I mean, there's a little bit, it's a little clunky in the beginning, and I actually enjoyed the music. My issue with the music was that I think it was like almost too loud. Like it was
Mm,
almost too
it.
overpowering to where that's what pulled me. I don't know if that's what it was for you, but it was for me. It was good, but it was almost like it was a little jarring. But I appreciated it because it kind of it to me he was trying to like connect with the mood of the character. At least that's how I perceived it. Where it's like in the beginning, it's this happy. I mean, literally the opening song. Matt, are you gonna sing for us again?
no.
No. Oh, come on. That was my setup. I was really trying to. I was really trying to get like a. At least give us a couple. He could have given us a couple of bars, but that's all right. I digress. Uh, but I think like just the fact of him opening with music like that and like leading into the happy music, and then the fact the phone call, the music literally cuts, and then we cut to this other like stylistically like completely different music. Like I understand the purpose and him being a music mogul, like maybe that was the whole, like that seems intentional, like that was the purpose. But for me, I couldn't, like they could have just turned it down like a couple of decibels, and I think it would have just hit a little bit better for me. I really enjoyed ASAP Rocky. For me, that was a surprise because I'll be honest, I expected it to be like, when you see these basketball players come on movies, and it's just like it's just so awful, like they're just so bad. But he was surprisingly good. Like his monologue between him and Denzel, and like for him to match with such a legendary actor as Denzel speaks to
Mhm.
him into whatever project he's going to go to next. Like he has a very promising career. I think he's probably going to go on to do many great roles and do many great things because he was like even Matt, like you mentioned, like he's one of the strongest points of this film. Like just his character. I wish I would just going back to having it be a limited series. Like if we had had an entire episode or even just his story, like more of him sprinkled throughout the entire story, it would have made it just a much stronger film. And like flipping that moral dilemma that the story is known for, that the original and the book are known for, but flipping that but making it an internal battle that we have to deal with, and cutting out like those random conversations because we didn't even readdress that him and his son, like he's like my dad mogul also cold-blooded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we never addressed the fact that he called his dad cold-blooded, like we
Took part in the game,
yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, so for
Yeah,
me,
pretty much really after that scene, we never really got much the movie never brought back to his son again,
no,
like,
just in
after
the
that scene.
end, where they were gonna build their empire together,
Right, right.
Family business.
the family
Yeah.
business. So I think that there was a lot there, but there was room for us to get more, and it was just for me that was just a missed opportunity. So that's why I kind of why I'm at a 3.5.
Yeah, what's funny is that when I finished the movie,
I bet.
I was like when I finished the movie, I was like, my first initial thought was, like, 2.5.
I know. I can
Yeah,
tell.
I
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I was like, "Man, what did I watch?" And then and this happens a lot where and I feel like, what movie we watched, another movie recently we watched as
Was it
well.
weapons?
Uh, it might have been Weapons too. Like I think certain movies just takes time for you to simmer and
Yeah.
you to think about it. Because if I'm just giving you my instant reaction, it's going to be more negative than positive. But you really have to think and at least give the movie some credit, think about what this movie trying to say. I've always attributed this podcast to be a good like conversation to open up about like our thoughts and feelings about these movies, and sometimes having different perspectives, as with you, Christina and Ernesto, like hearing your point of view, changing my perspective on what I thought some of these scenes meant, and then kind of reshaping what my score is. So in this case, it went from a 2.5 to probably around 3, but I can see how we got to like a 3.5. Like based on what you guys are saying, I can see how we're there. I think for me, I'm gonna sit at around a 3. But like I can understand that when you see, at least for me, these moments individually, or what Spike Lee was trying to do with this particular scene, you're either appreciating New York culture or trying to highlight other dilemmas or dramas. Like individually, again, they work for the movie, but ultimately, as we've already explained, to fit all that stuff into 2 hours, but also giving a lot of time for certain moments to breathe, where I feel like we could have reduced that a lot to allow other moments to happen in the film. Um,
Yeah.
I feel like either like pacing, and I think you made a really good point about the music too, Ernesto, is how when it felt louder, like it was almost like we're giving it the moment that that particular score deserves. And even when they're having conversations, it did feel like it was overpowering the scene a little bit. It's like the music was more important than the conversations they were having. And whereas most movies, the music is a background element to kind of enhance it a little bit, but not like the main star of the movie, unless the movie is saying that now it's your turn to listen to the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, I think even with this conversation, it made me appreciate the movie a little bit more. And eventually, just to kind of go down Spike Lee's filmography, there's still a lot of movies that I have not caught yet. And I've been meaning to. And I really do want to see what other movies, especially some of his earlier work that has deemed as like going down in cinema history as one of the best films of all time. So much so that when I was in LA, I visited the Academy of Motion Pictures Museum, and they had this whole exhibit about Do the Right Thing.
Yeah.
It had a lot of memorabilia from the films, a lot of behind the scenes footage. They were showing, which I thought was really cool. I kind of stopped and watched it for a second, but they had like these now legendary actors, and but they were showcasing their first like audition for the movie and seeing how they reacted and kind of seeing how all these people were so young and early in their career and now are off and doing big and better things. And Do the Right Thing was the start of that. There's so much history around that film and what it did for film, and so I really want to give it its due. It just hasn't gotten there yet. And it's interesting. Like there are some movies we kind of grow up with, and then there's some movies we discover as we get older. And it's always the right time for the right thing for the right time to get some of
Always.
these. But yeah. Anyway, with that, that is our spoiler review of highest to lowest, and that is for the most part all the show we have. Christina, thank you very much for joining us with another enthralling discussion about another movie that we're
Always.
happy to have with you.
It's always a pleasure to be with you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Truly, I love your reviews. I think it gets conversations going, and that's what these movies are for. So thank you, Matt. Thank you, Ernesto. Thank you, Box Office Bingers. This was
And
great.
then where can people find you? Where can they find your book?
Yes. So you can follow me on Instagram at C Watkins TV. There was a link in my bio that has a bunch of stories of why I support mental health awareness, why I wrote this book about my sister, and yeah, you can follow me and see all things mental health awareness and just advocating for kindness for everybody.
Awesome. And if you want more
Yeah.
from us, you can always follow us on our social media channels on Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok at Box Office Bingers, our X and Letterbox page at Box Office Binger, and our Threads and Instagram page at Box Office underscore Bingers. The fun doesn't stop here; it continues on all of our social media channels. So, as Christina said a few months ago, give all of them a follow, not just one or two. You should give all of them a follow
All of
because
them.
each
All of
all of
them.
them, each one offers a little something different. You can see some of our fun short videos on our TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, and our Instagram page, and sometimes even on our Threads page. Our movie reviews on our Letterbox page. We'll tell you what's new to streaming every Friday. We'll give you the box office numbers every Sunday. It's all there on our social media channels. So yeah, we dive into a lot of different stuff. And Christina, again, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show. Hopefully, we can get you on for a holiday themed episode later down the
Yes.
line. Uh,
Please. I saw a preview the other day for a new Christmas movie, so I,
If you
it should
see
be good.
one,
It should be
if
good.
if you see one that you want to talk about, just shoot it our way, and we can talk about
This
that.
is
I
on
think
me.
it,
We
it
come
has
at
to
it
be
from a cheesy perspective because you know it's
Oh, I know. I'm well aware.
it, that movie in question has to be the Jonas Brothers Christmas special. I'm assuming that's going to be premiering on Disney Plus. That I feel like that's the talk of the town lately.
no, it's actually not that one.
I was like, I don't think it. Matt, when you said that, I was like, I don't think it's that one.
No, no, no,
Our
it's not.
generation.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
she's like, who's a Jonas?
yeah.
Jonas what?
I know Joe because of Priyanka, but
Oh, there you go.
I know Priyanka's husband.
I know they have a band together, but that's not important.
Right. Mm-mm.
um,
That's
yeah, but
awesome.
whatever it is, I do. It's definitely one that has been brewing. Yes, brewing is the word. I know that we've talked about this for a while, so I'm very excited to. Hopefully, we can get a holiday episode in the books. But
Wait.
other than that, I mean, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show. This was a fun conversation as always.
Yeah, we love
Um,
having you on.
yes. So
Always a
thank you.
pleasure.
Thank you everyone for listening. Really do appreciate. Come back next week for more movie fun. You're not going to regret it. And for that, I've been your host, Matt Diaz.
Ben Ernesto Santos. See ya.